what I would
Great.
like to just touch on is you've talked very briefly about food. There is a lot more in your book,
Yeah.
Dark Matter. What about the preparation of food? How does that affect the absorption of the stuff that we want? And I'm thinking including things like the materials we cook in. And there's a great film, isn't there, called Dark Waters, very similar to your own title, about the mis-selling of Teflon in the early days.
Yeah. So you're right. So I think the thing that I'd say before we get into the cooking of food is that I think that food delivery apps really should be classed as carcinogens. You know, they really are terrible. And they do a couple of things which are really problematic. I mean, first of all, of course, they change eating behaviours so that we're much more likely to eat ultra processed foods or fast foods or junk foods. And if you read the Uber Eats annual food survey data, it's inherently depressing. And they trap some of our most vulnerable people in that cycle. That's a huge problem with it. The second thing is, of course, it dissociates us from our responsibility about choosing the ingredients that we have for our food. And of course, it changes the social nature of food preparation, food cooking, which is actually should be a social event. Like, you know, sharing food is not just good for our mental health. It's not just good for our, you know, all aspects of our health. It's important also for our microbiome. But yeah, cooking food has a big impact. So obviously, you know, when you cook food, and you heat it, you denature the proteins, you'll denature those starches, you'll denature those carbohydrates, and of course that changes the food matrix, so you know the physical chemical properties of that food and how microbes are able to interact with them, and that will have a very big impact on how those microbes will benefit your gut, and that can be very, very variable. So you know what you obviously need is a combination of raw food, because sometimes actually what you just want is you don't want a lot of microbial co-metabolism, and sometimes you want lots, in which case you know you can cook your food and then they'll be able to break it down more accessibly.